Okay, let's dive in. There's this surprisingly deep idea that, well, almost everything important we need to know we actually learned way back in kindergarten.
Sounds almost too simple, doesn't it?
It really does. But that's exactly where we're going today in this deep dive. We're looking at Robert Fulghum's book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Deceptively simple stuff.
And it's interesting how it even came about. Fulghum, he was trying to write down his core beliefs, his credo.
Yeah, and he ended up with this really complicated, almost legal-sounding document, pages and pages.
Exactly. And he realized his thinking was getting overloaded. He actually compared it to his old car, sputtering on fuel that was too high octane for it.
That's a great analogy. He just knew he was overcomplicating things. And the insight came, well, basically at a gas station.
Right, when his car choked on the fancy fuel. And that sparked this idea, and boil it all down, back to the basics, the absolute fundamentals you learn as a little kid.
And that's kind of our mission here. For you listening, wanting to, get smart insights quickly without getting totally overwhelmed, we're pulling out the wisdom from Fulghum's everyday observations.
Things that stick with you.
So the core idea, this kindergarten credo, it's simple, almost shockingly so. All I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten.
Makes you stop and think, right?
Totally. And then he lists them. Share everything. Play fair.
Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them.
Clean up your own mess, which is a big one.
Huge. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody.
And the really basic stuff, too, like flush. Wash your hands before you eat. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Simple comforts.
And this idea of balance. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some.
It's profound, really. These aren't just kid rules.
Not at all. Think about put things back and clean up your own mess. How widely does that apply?
Oh, everywhere. Personal responsibility, how we treat the planet, how communities should work, even governments. Leave things better than you found them, or at least as good.
Exactly. And his final one. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stick together.
That one gets me. That need for connection, for support. It never goes away, does it? No matter how old you are.
Never. So Fulghum takes these simple rules and starts seeing them, everywhere. In everyday adult life, like doing the laundry.
Laundry, yeah. Most of us probably just see it as, Groundhog Day with socks.
But for him, it became more a moment of accomplishment, maybe. A quiet connection to bigger things.
Bigger things, like what?
Well, the cycles. Water, earth, fire, he says. Wet and dry, hot and cold, dirty and clean. Alpha and omega, even. All in a load of laundry.
Wow, okay. That's finding the epic in the mundane. But then reality bites.
Right. His washer and dryer apparently conspired against him and died at the same time. Overload.
So off to the laundromat. Saturday night date with the machines. A real blast from the past, he says.
And what happens at the laundromat? You see stuff. Other people's stuff. Literally their dirty laundry.
He mentioned seeing someone's very sexy black underwear and overhearing conversations about getting, I think it was puke off a suede jacket.
You get these little windows into other lives. The messy bits.
And then he gets completely fascinated by the ingredients list on his box of cheer detergent.
Oh, yeah. Anionic surfactants, sodium phosphate, sodium silicate, sodium sulfate. All the sciencey stuff.
But also that it's biodegradable, works in cold water.
Yeah.
And he connects that to, hygiene, progress, how far we've come from thinking bad air caused disease.
It's amazing what's packed into a simple box of soap powder when you actually look.
And then he tasted it.
Apparently. He admits it wasn't good. Curiosity has its limits, I guess.
Okay, definitely don't try that at home. Let's switch gears. Spiders.
Spiders! From laundry to arachnids, why not?
He tells this story about his neighbor lady walking face first into a spider web. And her reaction is just primal terror, a huge scream.
You can picture it, but then he flips it. Yeah. What about the spider?
Right. This ordinary spider, meticulously building its home, its trap, and suddenly, bam, chaos. This giant thing just tears through everything.
Total destruction from the spider's point of view. Probably terrifying for the spider, too.
It's such a great shift in perspective. Our fear of the tiny thing versus the tiny thing's likely fear of the massive blundering giant. What does the spider make of us?
And spiders are survivors, aren't they? He points out they've been around for 350 million years. There are thousands of them per acre, even in the suburbs.
Tens of thousands, yeah. And he kind of envies their ability, their persistence in building these intricate webs over and over.
Which brings him to that nursery rhyme. The insy-weensy spider.
Everyone knows it. Climbed up the water spout.
Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
Out came the sun and dried up all the rain.
And the insy-weensy spider climbed up the spout again.
What's the big deal about that little rhyme?
It's pure resilience, isn't it? Disaster strikes the rain, washes it out. But does the spider give up? Nope.
No hesitation. Sun's out, back up the spout. It just keeps trying. Driven by curiosity, maybe. Fulghum says it wants to know what is up there.
It's that core survival instinct. Keep going. And it's a lesson we instinctively teach kids right from the start. Maybe spiders teach their kids too.
Maybe. It's a different approach than, say, yelling at things.
Yeah.
He mentions this story, though he's not sure if it's true.
The Solomon Islanders yelling at trees.
Yeah. The idea that they could fell a tree just by collectively shouting at it for hours.
Seems unlikely to work on a tree. But Fulghum draws a contrast. Yelling at trees might be pointless, but yelling at people.
That's different. That kills the spirit, he says. Sticks and stones break bones. Words break hearts. It's a powerful reminder about the impact of our words.
Switching objects again? The abacus.
How the abacus. More than just a cool-looking decoration, right?
Absolutely. He reminds us it's a serious calculation tool, a visual record of mental math still used daily by millions for thousands of years.
And there's something about the feel of it, isn't there? Wood, brass, maybe ivory. It gets smoother, better with age.
And think about it. No software updates, no planned obsolescence. If a bead breaks, you fix it. Simple.
He tells a great story about a competition. Abacus versus a pocket calculator.
And the abacus won. Why?
Because the person using the abacus was careful, methodical. The person with the calculator rushed, made mistakes, had fuzzy facts, as Fulghum puts it.
It's a win for the human hand and mind, working carefully over just relying on the speed of electronics. There's comfort in knowing simple old ways still work.
Definitely. Okay, let's take a trip now to San Saba, Texas, way back.
Spanish conquistadors arrive. Big plans.
Yep. Extend Spanish influence, spread Christianity, wipe out the Apache, and #1 priority.
Find treasure. Gold.
Their journals apparently make it pretty clear where are the Indians and where is the treasure. That was the focus.
But things didn't quite go according to plan. The Apache invited some friends over.
A whole lot of friends.
Comanches.
Who had, let's say, a different agenda.
And basically wiped the place out. Fort, mission, most of the Spanish hidalgos, treasure hunt over.
The historical marker there now tells a slightly different story, focusing on later conflicts. History gets rewritten, doesn't it?
It often does. Fulghum has his own connection to San Saba, though. Courting his wife Louise there, some youthful adventures.
Buying beer in a dry county, goat roping contests, the usual.
And now, it's the pecan and goat capital of the world. Life goes on, places change.
From conquistadors to pecans and goats. Okay, now a shift in tone, a really powerful story. Sergeant Major Nikolai Pestritsov.
A Russian soldier. In Angola, during fighting with South African forces, his wife was killed.
And the official South African military report noted something extraordinary. He refused to leave her body, just stayed there with her.
Even as the offensive continued around him, it makes you wonder what was going through his mind.
Was it love? Grief, obviously. Maybe just the sheer stupidity of war, injustice. Was he thinking of kids? Did self-preservation just vanish?
We can't know for sure, but Fulgham's point is the action is the answer. His staying put.
He wasn't a political symbol in that moment. He was, as Fulghum puts it, just a man who cared. A stark picture of humanity amidst violence.
And speaking of caring, Valentine's Day.
Ah, yes. The displays go up right after Christmas, it seems. All the commercial pressure.
Driven by merchants, he notes. But he contrasts that with a different kind of influence on expressions of love. Kindergarten teachers.
And he finds the real treasures not in the store, but in an old shoebox.
What's in the box?
Things his kids made when they were little. Faded construction paper hearts. Notes like, "Hi, Daddy, happy Valentine, I love you." Macaroni glued into X's and O's. Their names printed small.
Oh, that's lovely.
He calls it a gummy lump of love. Tangible evidence of something pure, uncomplicated, totally trustworthy, worth more than anything money could buy.
And it endures, doesn't it? Even as kids grow up and love gets, well, more complicated.
Exactly. He keeps it as a kind of talisman, a reminder of that foundation, especially when things get tough.
That's a powerful image. A gummy lump of love.
So from heartfelt keepsakes to raccoons
Aww.
under the house.
Right. He lived in this old cottage by a lake. Lots of wildlife, including raccoons, who apparently used the space under his house for their romantic encounters every spring.
He describes shining a flashlight into their trysting chamber during a rainstorm, listening to the noises.
Which leads him to wonder, why is life, why is love so often messy, full of strain, pain, alongside the affection?
He even hears echoes of it in the sounds between him and his wife sometimes. Conflict mixed with caring is a relatable question, isn't it? The mix of hard and good in relationships.
Definitely. Then a quick detour into the insect world again, a specific beetle larva.
The green rubignosa beetle, what's its claim to fame?
It carries its trash on its back, literally a little sack made of its old shed skin and, well, poop.
Charming. But his point is...
And that has a purpose in nature's economy, right? Everything gets recycled, everything has a role, even the seemingly gross stuff.
Okay, back to humans. He talks about an acquaintance, a guy in his late 40s who lived through the 60s and 70s counterculture.
A walking sociological experiment, Fulghum calls him. Civil rights, Vietnam protests, encounter groups, EST, communes, the whole 9 yards.
But now, his current phase is simple ignorance. He thinks it's all crap. Basically, ignorance is bliss.
Sounds a bit cynical.
But then, the same guy sees a kid fall in the lake and jumps right in to help, no hesitation. And he goes to National Lawyers Guild conventions to support good causes.
So maybe not total cynicism.
Exactly. The guy himself admits, well, I might be wrong. Fulghum sees it as finding bits of sanity in unexpected places. There's a difference between healthy skepticism and just being a pessimist.
That's a good distinction. Now, crayons.
Crayons. Fulgham's a godfather, and he tried introducing his godson to various adult pleasures. Chocolate, sip of beer, cigars. Beethoven.
How did Beethoven go over?
Not well. But crayons, that was different. After some initial staring and orifice stuffing.
Classic toddler exploration.
There was a wham moment. The kid got it. Making marks, drawing.
Crayola power. The magic happens.
And Fulghum dropped some Crayola facts. Petroleum wax and dye. 2 billion made every year by Binney and Smith. Sent all over the world.
And the box, that green and yellow box, almost unchanged since 1937.
Except they renamed Flesh to Peach, which was a good move.
Definitely. There's just something about a new box of Crayolas, isn't there? The smell, the perfect points. Kids love it. Adults get nostalgic.
It triggers memories. Shared experiences, which leads Fulghum to this whimsical idea.
A Crayola bomb.
Yeah, a happiness weapon. Instead of spending billions on destruction, what if we dropped crates of Crayolas? Imagine the world covered in imagination, in color.
It's a lovely thought experiment, the power of simple creativity.
Okay, from universal creativity to a very specific comfort food, chicken fried steak.
Yes. Fulghum admits this is his personal go-to comfort food, that private need we all have for something specific that just makes us feel okay.
He describes the ideal version. Tenderized steak, crispy coating, creamy gravy, side of peas, mashed potatoes, classic.
Of course, everyone has their own version of this, right? Their own ultimate comfort food.
Absolutely. But for him, it's chicken fried steak. And he's been on a quest. He lists places he's tried, gives them star ratings, tours his bar and grill, Farewell Bend Cafe.
The Blue Bucket, the Rooster Tails truck stop.
Until he finds the pinnacle. 5 stars. Maud Owens' Cafe in Payette, Idaho. Huge portion, all the trimmings. Perfection.
It's a fun illustration of pursuing those simple, satisfying pleasures.
Now a game. Hide and seek.
He sees neighborhood kids playing and wonders why grown-ups stopped doing simple, fun things like that.
He remembers playing as a kid, and there was always one kid who hid too well. Stayed hidden long after everyone else gave up.
Yeah.
It led to arguments.
Yeah, it ruins the flow of the game.
And this memory connects to something more serious. A doctor he knew, diagnosed with terminal cancer. He kept it a secret from his family. Hid the truth.
Why? To spare them.
That was his intention.
Yeah.
But when they found out after he died, they felt hurt, cheated. They didn't get to say goodbye properly, didn't get to support him. He hid too well.
Oof. That's tough. Hide and seek, grown-up style, as Fulghum says.
We want to hide sometimes, but deep down, we need to be found. We need that call, ollie, ollie, oxen free. Come on in, the game's over, let's start again. He urges people who hide too well to let themselves be found.
That's quite profound, emerging from a children's game.
Okay, shifting again. Trust. You hear people say it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Can't trust anybody anymore.
It's a common sentiment. Cynical, maybe.
Fulghum mentions an experiment by Stephen Brill. He posed as a naive foreigner, getting into dozens of New York City taxis, basically inviting them to cheat him on the fare.
And what happened?
Surprisingly, almost none of them did. Only 1 out of 37 drivers ripped him off.
Wow, that kind of flies in the face of the stereotype, doesn't it? Maybe people are generally more honest than we assume.
Maybe so. A little counter-evidence to the pervasive cynicism.
Now, what about transportation? Forget fancy cars.
Yeah, he dismisses impractical ideas. What he really wants isn't a vehicle, but a feeling.
A feeling, like one.
He remembers riding in the back of an old Ford pickup truck as a kid, with family, bouncing along, eating cookies, drinking milk out of a jar, singing songs.
Ah, that simple, connected joy.
Yeah,
Being together.
exactly. It wasn't about the truck itself, it was the feeling. The togetherness, the uncomplicated happiness, that's the transportation he longs for.
That makes sense. Connection over status.
Let's talk neighbors. He describes living next to a guy named Mr. Washington. Steep hillside houses, very different yards.
How so?
Fulgham's yard was, let's say, natural. Weeds, wildflowers, letting things grow. Mr. Washington's was meticulous. Perfectly manicured lawn, clipped hedges.
Okay, the classic contrast.
Mr. Washington was older, black, an insurance agent, a barbecue champion, and he had a funny but pointed way of commenting on Fulgham's yard.
But they got along.
Oh, yeah. They bonded over cigars, which both their wives disapproved of. They'd both been involved in social justice stuff back in the day, liked the same music.
Finding common ground despite differences.
And Mr. Washington just had this great sense of humor about life. They were reference points for each other. Fulghum mentions he passed away, but he still remembers his laugh, his barbecue sauce recipe.
It's those everyday connections that often mean the most.
Even their disagreements were kind of affectionate, like over dandelions.
Ah, the eternal question. Weed or flower?
Mr. Washington was spraying them in Fulgham's yard. Fulghum defended them. They're cheerful, arrive early, you can eat them, make wine. They turn into those magical wishing seeds.
Mr. Washington wasn't buying it.
Nope, just weeds to him. A friendly disagreement.
So how does Fulghum cope with life's endless chores and complexities?
He has a fantasy, the stick polishing fantasy.
Stick polishing.
Yeah. He imagines being given a week off, no obligations, taken to a peaceful place, and his only task for the whole week is to polish one ordinary stick.
Just polish a stick.
Yep. He's given sandpaper, lemon oil, rags, no pressure. Just focus on making this one stick smooth and beautiful. And at the end, the polished stick is enough. A symbol of accomplishment, of simple satisfaction.
That's oddly calming, actually. Finding peace in a single, focused task.
It is. Then there's another neighbor story. The raker versus the non-raker.
Guessing Fulghum is the non-raker.
You got it. His neighbor meticulously rakes every leaf, shovels every snowflake. Fulghum lets the leaves decompose naturally, uses the snow for insulation around the house.
They debate the merits of their approaches.
Humorously, yes.
Yeah.
The neighbor points out his neat yard. Fulghum points out nature's recycling system.
And the conclusion.
Ultimately, Fulghum says they'll both end up as worm food, part of the cycle, regardless of how tidy their yards were. A bit of philosophical perspective on lawn care.
Huh. Then there was the other neighbor, the supposed gambler.
Yeah, the guy who claimed to be a professional gambler, maybe even connected to organized crime.
That wasn't.
Nah, just an insurance agent.
Yeah.
But he had this whole cynical worldview, life's a gamble, odds are stacked against you. Another interesting character next door.
It seems Fulghum had some memorable neighbors. What about people outside the neighborhood? Like his barber.
The barber. He calculates he's had something like 8 feet of hair cut off by the same barber over 16 years.
8 feet? That's a lot of haircuts.
And then he finds out the barber quit. Changed professions. And it hits him surprisingly hard. Like a death in the family, he says.
Really? Over a barber?
Yeah, because it wasn't just about haircuts. Over time, they went from barber and customer to something more. They talked, shared things, supported each other in small ways.
That peculiar intimacy you can have with someone you see regularly but aren't exactly close friends with.
Exactly. He learned about the barber's life. The barber learned about his. There was a consistency, a quiet support there.
And he realizes how important these seemingly ordinary people are, the ones who show up, provide a service, maybe teach us something without us even realizing it.
And that we probably play that role for others too, without knowing it. He connects it to a Sufi story about everyone being granted a wish to do good, but secretly, so they never know the impact they have.
That's a lovely thought, that we might be helping others without being aware of it.
Okay, from barbers to Ed.
Mermaids.
Mermaids.
Where do they fit in?
He's leading a big game for kids. Wizards, dwarfs, and giants. Kind of like rock, paper, scissors, but with actions. 80 kids going wild.
Sounds chaotic.
Totally. And in the middle of it all, this little kid pipes up, where do the mermaids stand?
Oh, because
Yeah.
mermaids don't fit the categories.
Exactly. And it hits Fulghum. What about the ones who don't fit? The ones who are different?
What does she say?
He just reacted instinctively. The mermaid stands right here by the king of the sea, and took the child's hand. But he realized the deeper meaning. We have to make space for the mermaids.
That's beautiful. Affirming that difference is okay, valuable even. He concludes mermaids do exist because he held one's hand.
Yeah. Okay, Christmas cards. Or lack thereof.
What about them?
He realizes late, like in February, that he didn't get many Christmas cards the previous year.
So what does he do?
In August, wearing a bathing suit, he gets out the box of last year's Christmas cards, puts on Christmas carols, and opens them all again.
Huh. Christmas in August.
Why not? He figures the wonder and joy of Christmas shouldn't be confined to December. It's a feeling that can be revisited.
I like that. Breaking the seasonal rules.
Then there's the story of the one-man Christmas choir.
Tell me more.
It's a gloomy Sunday before Christmas. He's feeling kind of down. There's a knock at the door. It's a kid in a cheap Santa mask yelling trick or treat.
Wrong holiday.
Totally. The kid is Hong Duc, a young Vietnamese refugee. And after the trick or treat confusion, the kid just launches into Christmas carols. Jingle bells, hark, the hairy angels sing. Well, maybe herald angels. Silent night, full of enthusiasm.
Wow, unexpected.
Fulghum is completely thrown, but also deeply moved. He gives the kid a generous payment, gets half a candy cane in return.
That's amazing.
He admits he's usually confused and a bit cynical about Christmas, all the hype. But this kid, Han Duc, brought the real spirit. Unexpectedly, authentically.
Sometimes the most genuine moments come from surprising places.
Then there's the brass rule of gift exchange.
Sounds ominous.
It came from this grumpy guy at an office party who declared, forget the golden rule, it is the gift that counts. His point was, people with good thoughts give good gifts. Don't give junk.
A bit harsh, maybe, but there's a grain of truth.
Fulghum connects it to the idea that, well, God gave the ultimate gift, and the wise men didn't show up with cheap trinkets. Put some thought and value into it. The brass rule.
Interesting take. So, beyond gifts, what's the deeper wish for Christmas?
For Fulghum, it's not about more stuff. It's about wanting, just for an hour, to be 5 years old again. To feel that simple joy, that safety, that comfort.
That feeling of being cared for, the magic of it all.
Exactly. You can't really go back, he knows. But you can access the memory, the feeling. Christmas, he says, is really about the child inside us. Vulnerable, open to joy, not needing expensive presents.
That resonates, tapping into that inner child.
Now, a less successful gift story. The cuckoo clock.
Oh dear, what happened?
He wanted to give his wife an antique cuckoo clock for Christmas. Couldn't find the right one. Ended up buying a cheap new one from Korea. Assembly required.
Uh-oh. Assembly required is often a bad sign.
It was. He spent hours trying to get the little bird to pop out and cuckoo correctly, twisting wires, fiddling with parts, frustration mounting. He finally got it working, sort of. But then, in a final adjustment, snap. He broke the bird right off its perch. Total disaster.
Oh no, what did he do?
He wrapped up the broken clock, gave it to his wife, and just told her the whole sad, true story. Sometimes honesty is the only gift left.
Probably the best approach in that situation.
Let's talk about tandem bicycles.
The bicycle built for two.
He knew a couple who bought one for practical reasons. Economy, efficiency. The husband always rode in the front.
Naturally.
Well, that's the interesting part. The husband thought he was stronger, had a better sense of direction, so he should lead. His private thought...
And the wife in the back.
Her private thought. She enjoyed the view, coasted when he wasn't looking, let him do most of the work, and figured if they crashed, he'd provide padding.
Huh. That's brilliant. So much for unified purpose.
Fulghum uses it as a metaphor. Sometimes liberation means getting what we think we want without realizing the full picture. Or maybe just trading one kind of dependency for another.
That's a clever observation from a tandem bike.
Now Donnie, the leaf raker.
Another neighborhood story.
Yep. A sharp knock on the door. It's a boy holding a note. The note says he's Donnie, he's deaf, and he'll rake your yard for $1.
$1? That's cheap.
It is. Fulgham's conflicted. He likes his natural leafy yard. His wife prefers neatness. They'd even been doing a scientific experiment on leaf decomposition.
But Donnie is standing there, waiting. looking right at him, patiently offering his service.
It becomes this quiet, existential moment. Why not have the leaves raked? Why stick to his principles when this kid is offering help, needs the work? They stand in silence, but for different reasons. Donnie's deafness, Fulgham's internal debate.
What does he decide?
He agrees. Donnie does a fantastic, thorough job, takes real pride in it, collects a few bright leaves and maple helicopter seeds for himself.
And
He pays him, Donnie leaves. And later, quietly, Fulghum moves the big leaf pile back to where it can decompose. But he's clearly moved by Donnie's grace and dignity.
A simple interaction with a lot packed into it.
Switching gears dramatically now, dealing with low points, despair even.
We all have them. How does Fulghum cope?
His unusual solace. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Especially the choral finale, the Ode to Joy.
Powerful music.
Incredibly powerful. And he highlights the context. Beethoven was profoundly deaf when he completed it. He composed this soaring, joyful masterpiece out of silence and personal struggle. He never truly heard it performed.
That makes it even more amazing.
Fulghum describes putting on the headphones, turning it up loud, letting the music wash over him, lifts him up, transforms his mood. It's a testament to creating beauty and hope even when things are incredibly difficult. A potent counter-argument to despair.
Music as medicine. A powerful reminder.
He then brings up something called Locard's exchange principle. Ever heard of it?
Vaguely. From forensics, right? Every contact leaves a trace.
Exactly. When you enter a room, you leave something behind, and you take something with you, usually microscopic stuff.
Okay. How does Fulghum use that?
He expands it, calls it Fulgham's exchange principle. In life, every person you interact with, every situation you're in, you leave something and you take something. Unknowingly, mostly. Unseen, but essential exchanges happening constantly.
Like invisible threads connecting us all?
Kind of. He uses this image.
Yeah.
If you could line up all living things end to end, they'd reach to the moon and back many times. It emphasizes our shared journey, our interconnectedness through these constant, quiet exchanges.
That's a big thought. Speaking of connections, Elias Schwartz.
Elias Schwartz, the shoe repairman.
Described as short, round, bald, single, middle-aged, Jewish, an old-fashioned cobbler. Seems ordinary enough.
But Fulghum has a theory, a playful one. Maybe Elias Schwartz is actually the reincarnation of the Haiho Lama.
Haiho Lama, seriously.
He mentions monks from a Tibetan monastery searching for the Lama's reincarnation. And the description fits Schwartz. Wise in small, mysterious ways. Maybe doing God's will without even knowing it.
It's a whimsical idea. Any evidence?
Well, Fulghum got his loafers back from Schwartz once, and tucked inside was a little note. Not about the shoes, but a piece of unexpected simple wisdom. Like something a llama might say.
So maybe.
Fulghum decides to keep Schwartz's secret. Let him just be the neighborhood shoe guy. But it's about finding potential wisdom in unexpected people.
Seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary again.
Okay, let's talk about stuff. With a capital S.
What kind of stuff?
The stuff you find behind the sofa when you move it. The dust bunnies, the lint, the mysterious bits, even if you think you're a clean person.
Ah, yes. The archaeology of the living room.
Exactly. He found a medical journal article that actually analyzed this stuff.
And what is it?
Wool fibers, cotton, paper bits, bug parts, food crumbs, plant matter, tree leaves, ash, spores, and mostly exfoliated skin, human skin flakes, and hair, and disintegrated meteorites, stardust.
Stardust. Seriously. In the dust bunnies.
Apparently so. Tiny particles from space drifting down. He also mentions a botanist saying this stuff could grow if you put it in the right conditions. It's late in life. And it connects to seeing stars.
Wow. From dust bunnies to the cosmos.
He uses the image of a snow globe. Everything falls down, gets shaken up, goes around again. We come from stars, we return to dust, which contains stardust. It's a quiet cycle. Our stuff is us returning to the source.
That puts a whole new perspective on vacuuming.
Doesn't it? Now, to a livelier scene, the Buffalo Tavern.
What's the Buffalo Tavern?
A local bar, a gathering place. Fulghum says he understands slow drivers and doesn't kill spiders because he knows about cemeteries, and he goes to the Buffalo. It's where mongrel America comes together on Saturday nights.
Sounds like a real melting pot.
Totally. Fueled by beer and a band called the Dynamic Volcanic Logs.
Great name.
One night, a motorcycle club invades. Big, tough-looking guys. Tense atmosphere. But then, something unexpected happens on the dance floor.
What? A fight?
No. This guy Fulghum describes as an ugly, shuffling Indian ruin starts dancing. And he's incredible, fluid, graceful, totally lost in the music.
And the bikers?
They're mesmerized. Everyone is. This guy's dancing becomes infectious. Soon the whole place is dancing. Bikers, locals, everyone. Dancing together, almost in defiance of death, hardship, everything. A moment of pure shared life.
Wow. The power of dance to break down barriers.
Okay, another relatable struggle. Jumper cables.
Ah, the dreaded dead battery.
Fulghum admits he feels like he should know how cars work, basic mechanics, societal expectation. But he doesn't. He's clueless.
He's not alone there.
So he tries to help a stranger whose car is dead. They get out the jumper cables. Neither really knows what they're doing.
This sounds like it could go badly.
It does. First, they can't even find the battery in the stranger's car. It's under the back seat. Then the stranger gets distracted by high school memories, triggered by the situation. They hook up the cables. Wrongly.
Oh, no. Sparks.
Worse. Smoke. Fire, briefly. They manage to put it out. Total failure. Shared ignorance.
Mortifying.
But then, the stranger's wife gives Fulghum a gift later, a set of new, foolproof jumper cables. Color-coded, clear instructions.
A gesture of grace.
Exactly. Acknowledging the shared foolishness, but offering a way forward. A reminder that even out of incompetence, progress and maybe safety is possible.
That's a good story. Now, imagination. Balloons.
Yes. The Montgolfier brothers, France, 1783. Watching smoke rise from a fireplace gives them an idea.
It's a hot air balloon.
Right. First, they send up animals: a sheep, a duck, a rooster, and a tethered balloon to prove the air up there isn't poisonous.
Sensible precaution.
Then, Jean-François Pilatre de Rosier is desperate to go up himself. He becomes one of the first humans to fly in an untethered balloon. Historic moment.
Amazing. Did he keep flying?
He did. But tragically, he later died trying to cross the English Channel in a balloon, the price of pushing boundaries.
So imagination is powerful, but can be dangerous.
Exactly. Fulghum quotes Einstein. Imagination is more important than information. He talks about standing on the shoulders of those who came before and the act of encouraging others to fly, to take risks, to imagine.
Contrasting those who play it safe with those who dare and inspire others.
Fulghum himself went up in a balloon on his birthday, which happened to be the 200th anniversary of that first flight in Annonay.
Wow, full circle.
And then there's Larry Walters, the lawn chair balloonist.
Oh, I remember hearing about him. He tied weather balloons to a lawn chair.
42 of them. And accidentally shot up to 11,000 feet over Los Angeles airspace. Had a pellet gun to shoot balloons to come down.
That's insane, but also kind of amazing.
Fulghum loves it. Walter's reason. You
Yeah.
can't just sit there. He had a dream, used what he had, felt wonderfully so up there, even though he wouldn't do it again. It's about holding on to dreams, applying imagination, maybe even flying in unconventional ways.
An extreme example of just trying something.
Okay, from the skies to fungi, mushrooms.
Mushrooms. What's the story there?
He remembers his first encounter with fresh, edible mushrooms at a fancy dinner party at his Aunt Violet's. Before that, his experience with fungus was less appealing. Mold, mildew.
So eating them seemed weird.
Completely baffling. Why would you eat fungus?
It makes him think about other things he doesn't quite get, like wonky grocery cart wheels, leaves that won't fall, dog cologne.
Which leads to bigger mysteries. Electricity, how homing pigeons work, rainbows, laughter, art, why God doesn't intervene more, the meaning of life, death, the big questions.
From mushrooms to metaphysics.
But then he looks up fungi in the encyclopedia, learns about their crucial role, decomposition, recycling nutrients, breaking down the dead to make way for the new. They are, the book says, midwives between death and life.
Wow. That's a powerful role.
It changes his perspective. It's a terrible and wondrous truth. Life needs death. The old has to be cleared away. So now he eats mushrooms with respect, understanding their vital, if hidden, role.
Seeing the hidden connections again.
Speaking of connections, an act of generosity.
How did this happen?
Bombay Airport. He's leaving India, realizes he has no Indian currency left to pay a small baggage claim fee. Stuck.
Awkward.
Then a total stranger steps up, pays the fee for him. No big deal.
That was kind.
But then the stranger tells Fulghum why he did it. He tells a story about a famous Indian figure, V.K. Krishna Menon, who was once robbed and beaten badly, left for dead.
Terrible.
But another stranger found him, took him in, cared for him until he recovered. A true good Samaritan.
A chain of kindness.
Exactly. Fulghum poses the questions. How did the cruelty affect Mana? But also, how did the generosity affect him? How did it change how he treated others afterwards? Both the dark and the light leave their mark.
The ripple effect of actions, good and bad.
Now for some music.
Fiddlers.
Where are the fiddlers?
Weiser, Idaho. Home of the Grand National Old Time Fiddlers Contest. For 1 week a year, this small town becomes the center of the universe for fiddle players.
Sounds lively. Population swells, music everywhere. 247. Jam sessions, concerts, dancing.
What kind of people go?
All sorts.
Yeah.
Traditional country folks, farmers, ranchers. But also, he says, long-haired hippie freaks. Doesn't matter what you look like, if you can play, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Music transcends appearance.
That's how it should be.
He overhears a wiser policeman who's picking a banjo himself say, sometimes the world seems like a fine place, don't it? A moment of simple harmony and joy.
Music bringing people together. Lovely.
Okay, zoos. Why do adults like zoos?
Escapism. Seeing exotic animals.
Fulghum thinks it's partly a break from reality. Seeing creatures like the okapi, tapir, platypus, orangutan. Yeah, weird and wonderful.
Well, they are fascinating.
But then he imagines if humans were in zoos, what would observers note? He looks at the lions, seemingly lounging without a care. The unexamined life, maybe.
No worrying about mortgages or politics.
Exactly. Just eat, sleep, hang out. Seems appealing. But
we're human. We think, we reflect, we ask why.
right. We have the examined life. So while the zoo is a nice place to visit, you wouldn't want to live there as a human. Our complexity is part of who we are.
Good point. The burden and gift of consciousness.
Back to his neighborhood. 25th Avenue, Northeast. A dead-end street.
Okay.
Not just a dead end, the dead end of a dead-end street. Multiple signs. Street ends. Dead end. Very clear.
So people stop, right?
Nope. Constantly. Drivers ignore all the signs, drive all the way down to the actual dead end, look confused, and have to turn around. It happens all the time.
Why do they do that?
He wonders, are they hoping the signs are wrong? Testing reality? He humorously considers putting up more signs. Maybe. Wayside Shrine at end of street, come on down and confront the ultimate meaning of life.
Becomes Swami Dedendus.
Exactly. It's a funny observation about how people sometimes just don't believe the signs.
Okay, a story about failure. Or perceived failure.
A man goes to see his rabbi. He's really down, feels like a total failure, because he only succeeds about half the time in his endeavors.
50% success rate. That doesn't sound too bad to me.
Right, but he feels terrible. So the rabbi gives him some unusual advice.
What? Pray more?
No. He tells the man to go home, get the New York Times Almanac, and look up Ty Cobb's lifetime batting average.
Ty Cobb? The baseball player? Why?
The man does it, finds the average, .367.
Meaning he succeeded, got a hit, only about 1/3 of the time.
Exactly. Even the greatest hitter of all time failed 2 out of 3 times at the plate. And suddenly, the man's 50% success rate doesn't look so bad. It's all about perspective.
That's brilliant advice from the rabbi, using baseball stats for life lessons.
Now, a slightly awkward question. Have you ever peeked inside someone else's medicine cabinet?
Maybe. Purely out of curiosity, of course.
Fulghum admits to it. And he has a friend doing sociology research who claims bathrooms, especially medicine cabinets, are incredibly revealing.
Revealing what?
Habits, hopes, dreams, sorrows, illnesses. Even sex lives, the friend claims, all hidden behind that mirrored door. Aspirin, bandages, prescriptions, fancy lotions, old cosmetics.
It's a little museum of personal life.
The friend concludes it shows the wondrous unity of the human race. We all have similar needs, anxieties, vanities. Fulghum suggests listeners check their own cabinets. And declares his bathroom off limits.
Fair enough. Let's talk reunions, high school reunions.
Oh boy. Fulghum gets invited to his 30-year reunion. His initial reaction?
Dread. Horror.
Pretty much. He goes, looks around, sees classmates looking older, balding, graying, thickening. He feels a wave of malaise. Oh God, we're all getting old.
A common reunion feeling, I imagine.
But it passes quickly. Why? Because earlier that summer, he met these 2 guys, much older than him, who were bicycling across the entire country. Fit, energetic, full of life.
Another perspective shift.
Totally. Remembering those cyclists makes him feel young again, full of potential. The reunion gloom vanishes. It's about attitude, not just age.
Inspiration can come from unexpected encounters.
Now, a summer evening, playing cards on the porch.
Sounds idyllic.
It is. He's playing old maid with young relatives, his grandfather's porch, lantern light. They're wearing cowboy hats, chewing toothpicks, pretending to be serious gamblers. Lots of cheating going on.
Kids playing cards.
Yeah.
Always involves creative rule interpretation.
Suddenly, drama. Moths start flying into the lantern, sizzling. One gets caught in a spider web. Then a kid goes on a moth-killing rampage.
Oh, dear. Nature interrupts the game.
Fulghum tries to defend the moths, but the kids are adamant. Moths are bad. Butterflies are good. Simple black and white view.
Childhood certainty.
He reflects, somewhat humorously, that the future is in the hands of these little maniacs. But later he has a quiet moment with the youngest child, looking closely at one of the dead moths, finding a bit more empathy.
Learning moments, even amidst the chaos.
Speaking of family, grandfathers.
Did Fulghum know his?
No, neither of them. He has this idealized image of what a grandfather should be: wise, comforting, a connection to the past.
Many people probably share that feeling.
He imagines getting a call from this idealized grandfather. Excited about a new discovery, astronomers found evidence of a new solar system forming around the star, Beta Pictoris. A huge, bright star.
Wow, a cosmic phone call.
He imagines them going outside, looking at the night sky. Grandfather pointing out constellations, planets, Venus, Jupiter, Sagittarius, Pegasus, the Andromeda Galaxy, the Milky Way.
Sharing the wonders of the universe.
Grandfather remembers seeing Halley's Comet as a boy, wants Fulghum to see its return. They talk about Orion, how humans for millennia have looked up at the same stars, about the possibility of life elsewhere, about being part of something incredibly vast and wonderful.
That's a beautiful, imagined conversation.
He feels real affection for this grandfather he never had, wishes he could come home for Christmas, acknowledging that what's real in our hearts and minds is complex.
Imagination filling a void, creating connection.
Yeah, someone very real who had a huge impact. Mother Teresa.
A global icon of compassion.
Fulghum admits she profoundly disturbed his peace of mind, even though their worldviews were different. He remembers seeing her accept the Nobel Peace Prize.
In Oslo, right.
Yes. This tiny, poor nun receiving an award funded by the inventor of dynamite, surrounded by royalty and power. The contrast was stark.
Her power wasn't worldly.
Not at all. It came from her caring heart, her compassionate spirit, more powerful, he felt, than any king or president. She lived the Good Samaritan story, shone a light from the back streets of Calcutta through unwavering love.
A remarkable example.
Fulghum says he didn't necessarily believe in her version of God, but he absolutely believed in her faith, her actions.
Respecting the person and their impact, even without sharing the belief system.
He sees her as embodying true peace, something you make, you give away. He later met her briefly, heard her speak simply but powerfully. His conclusion: if true peace ever comes, it will be because of women like her.
Acknowledging the power of quiet, dedicated service.
So we're nearing the end of Fulghum's collection of thoughts. How does he end the book?
Interestingly, he doesn't really have a traditional ending. He mentions his favorite book ending ever is from James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, which ends mid-sentence.
Only to have the beginning of the book complete that sentence. A circle.
Right. Implying that writing, like life, is ongoing. There's no final word.
So Fulghum positions his book, and maybe this deep dive too, as just a place to pause. Acknowledge the flow, but take a rest. He even teases talking about frogs and someone named Miss Schwarzkopf next time.
Leaving the door open. He also includes a brief bio about himself: teacher, painter, minister, father, grandfather, a man of varied experiences.
So wrapping up our own exploration here, what's the big takeaway from Fulghum?
I think it really comes back to that core idea, finding profound, really deep wisdom in the simple everyday stuff, looking closely at the common to find the uncommon truths.
Yeah, those little details stick with you, don't they? Like the ingredients in cheer or the spider's point of view.
The abacus winning the race, that gummy lump of love from his kids' crafts.
Hung Duke singing Christmas carols, Larry Walters in his lawn chair, the dancing Indian at the Buffalo Tavern.
It's all about the power of observation and finding meaning in unexpected places.
And for you, listening, hoping for those aha moments without reading stacks of books, maybe this is the key takeaway. Insight is everywhere, if you just look.
Pay attention to the small things, the kindergarten rules playing out in the adult world.
So maybe think about which of these stories, these observations, resonated with you. How do those simple principles show up in your life? What are your own gummy lumps of love, your own moments of unexpected insight?
It's an invitation to look at your own life through that lens.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Perhaps navigating this really complex world isn't about gathering more and more complex information. Maybe it's about a deeper appreciation for the simple truths, the ones we've known all along.
What if we truly embrace the wisdom we learned in kindergarten?